This is the Know Your Law series by Barefoot Law, a non-profit organization which uses digital innovation and technology to provide free legal information and guidance for all. For more information, visit www.barefootlaw.org.
And welcome to our webinar on child maintenance and custody. I'm coming to Dr. Diana. After you supplement, I want you to talk about that word unfit. So we have an unfit mother and an unfit father. Yes. If I am an uncle, there is an auntie, or my own mother, who believes she is a fit and capable person to look after this child, can they apply for that custody in the place of the parents who are unfit and can no longer look after their child?
Okay, thank you very much. What I was going to supplement before I answer that question was, Peter has talked about if you are in an abusive relationship. Practically, if you've run out of the home at night because you can't, he or she was going to kill you, you'll definitely report to the police station. Now, when you report to the Family and Child Protection Unit, and you show the evidence, at least physical evidence, that this person was actually aggressive, usually the police should be able to help you to be able to collect that child, because if the person has been violent to you, there are high chances that that person is also going to be violent to the child. So you can have that as an interim measure, and then you can get into the procedure that Peter has talked about, so that the child is not affected. Now, your question was,
if we find that the courts or Peter, in his capacity as a probation and welfare officer, has found that these parents, like the example he gave, one is engaging into conduct that could be harmful to the child. The other parent is possibly drinking or under the influence of some drug or alcohol, and they can't look after this child ably. What happens at that point? If I am a relative, I am concerned. I care. I don't want my child to be taken by the government for the next 4 or 5 years. What do I do?
Yeah. Now, if you're a relative and you really find that these parents, as they use the word unfit, then another person can be able to apply. For example, there is a case I handled where A and B had a relationship, and as a result they got a child. But A, the man was, drinking all the time, day and night. He was all the time drunk, and he could not look after the child. And the girl went back after giving birth, went and started staying with the parents. Then during a period when the child was about 7 months, she got some gentleman who wanted to marry her. But the condition of this marriage was that you're not coming with your child. So where would this child be? So what the grandparents did was they went to court and they applied to have custody of the child, because the child could not stay with the mother. She had been taken, and could not stay with the father because he could not look after the child. And the court, and looking at giving the custody to the grandparents, looked at the best interests of the child. But as I said at the beginning, under the law, each child has a right to know the parents. So this issue of this granting of custody goes hand in hand with what we call a visitation order, such that the other parent, the non-custodial parent, can be able to come and see the child when the child is with the custody of a relative.
Thank you very much. I believe by non-custodial parent, you mean the parent that is not
having physical custody.
Thank you very, very, very much. You touched
again to add on what Doctor said. When you've run away from an abusive relationship, it does not jeopardize your chances of getting custody. Yes, because you're running for your life. And actually, we encourage women, especially if there is too much domestic violence and the man is almost killing you. Why should you stay in that marriage? Some men beat you to go away, yeah? And where you insist to stay there. That is why you are seeing some mothers being killed in relationships. But good enough, women have been now empowered enough, so that if domestic violence comes in, they don't entertain that. Most women are no longer entertaining that. They either walk away, or they report you immediately, or they find something to do. So it does not jeopardize your chances when it comes to custody.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter.
Yes.
Dr. Diana mentioned something about the parents. She said that the parents can come in and they ask for that custody. Esther, we've left you out of this conversation for long enough. Jump back in with me, please. So, like Dr. Diana has mentioned, there's a girl, she's staying with her mother. She was given custody of that child. What happens? Because we always hear that you have a right to this, you have a right to that. If I have a right to a car, I can always get my car and I can give it to somebody else who's my friend to take that car. Now, with custody, since I have got the right to have custody over a child, what happens if I decide that I have something else to do? Can I simply transfer my custody and say, my custody, which I was given by court, I hereby now give it to you, mother. Look after my child while I'm away. Esther.
Thank you. No, unfortunately, you cannot transfer custody. You cannot do that because, like doctor said, it's the duty of the parents to take care of this child. You could be going away for a week or two and take the child to your parents, to the grandparents for a while. Yes, that's okay, but that does not mean you've transferred custody. If custody has to be transferred or changed, this is through a court. Someone has to apply, and this order is valid. So you cannot just wake up and say, I'm tired, but I do not want to take this child to the father of the child. Let me give my mother. I also don't think the man deserves custody. No. You cannot just wake up and transfer this custody because it's your duty as a parent. This is your child to take care of.
Thank you very much, Esther.
And let me just
I'm going to get back to you because I want to make these two questions so that we can wind up this and then we move on to something slightly different.
Okay.
I want you to deal with that. Give us your take on what Esther has just told us. And also, we keep hearing, we've had court from you, we've had court from Esther, we've had court. Everybody seems to be mentioning court. Court, Peter is telling us about determinations. He has to make a report. So while you're dealing with that, is that the only way to get custody? I mean, suppose my girlfriend and I, or my wife and I, have decided that we are going to go our separate ways. Can't we just sit on a dining table when things are still amicable and we say, between you and I will have our son on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. You can have the child for the next 3 days. Can't we have that discussion and it is binding or it is final?
Thank you very much. And that is what we encourage. In most instances, when people come to us and they have a dispute, the first thing we tell them, when people are annoyed, I'm sorry, but I'm going to use this word. When people are annoyed, they become uncivilized. So what we usually do when people come, a couple of parents come, we tell them, can we please be civil to each other? Now, when you're civil to each other, we always say, before we get into all these other wrangles that you've been having, let's first look at the children because they are very important. They are innocent, Well, they are on earth, but you brought them on earth. So you have an obligation to ensure that actually they are well looked after. So the best we do is that, can we agree on how you can share the custody? And many parents, they say and agree and say, okay, let us agree on the custody. You have custody, and if you allow me to see them, and we can put that into writing. And once you've put it into writing, it will be signed, it will be witnessed, and if you want it to have the use the authenticity of the court, we can also go and file it in the court. And then at the end of that agreement, we put there the word given under my hand and the seal of court. And once the magistrate signs on it, then that means that now that one has become an order. An order of court which has come up when you have agreed on the terms of the custody.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I promised that this would be the last, but my promise has already been broken on that front.
Yes.
A couple of more questions which are burning have come up, so I'm going to lobby one your way, and I'm sending something else to Peter. So let me go with Peter, then I come back to you because I still want you to wind this down.
Okay.
Peter, there is this thing where they sometimes say, this partner has more money than I do. So if we try and go to court, there's a likelihood that this person will win because they have more money than I do. Or that if we start this thing and I start asking for children, what if he harms the children? Is that a valid worry? Should someone be worried about something like that?
Not really, because the law is clear. Our Constitution and the Children Act says that the child has a right to know both parents meaning father and mother. So from that basis, we see that there is already 50% rights from the word go. So minus who has the most money. You might have little money, but you can take good care of the children. You can provide accommodation, you can provide school fees, you can provide feeding, and you can provide clothing. So that is enough basis. It's only that people fear court, that the moment we start court, the person who has the most money, in most cases, will win. It is not so. The law is clear, and anyone can read for themselves. This, the question of custody and maintenance is very crucial nowadays, because not only because families are separating, but also because us, the men, are having children outside marriages. So meaning that whereas you're staying with these other children at home, but there is the other child somewhere. So who has a right to stay with that child? That question is also important. Okay, if we separate with my wife in the home, who should stay with those children? That is the discussion we're having. And it is very important of late, and it is custody cases are too many. Yes.
Okay, related to that, because we're talking about fears, because this is a thing that we know is very important, but custody raises a lot of fears with people. Now, suppose I have taken that child to school. It usually happens with especially when there are bitter separations. I've taken my child to school, and the next thing I know, they have called me, the head teacher has called me and said, well, the mother or the father has come and picked the child. Now, we have not settled either the question of custody, or I was given custody. The next thing I know is the child has been picked from school and taken. What about that kind of situation? What is your role in this, and what can a parent do when they get that kind of horrifying news that they have just lost a child they left at school?
Of course, together with the Child and Family Protection Unit, we look for where the child is, and then we forward the matter to court to decide. But it is illegal, as doctor I'm sure will add on, it is illegal to remove a child from lawful custody. It is illegal to go and say probably you've separated with the mother, and then you know that the mother takes the child to school A. So you go there at school A and you steal, actually we call it even stealing, because you've not told the other partner, you just take away the child. That is illegal. There are procedures of getting custody of that child. You go to Child and Family, you go to the probation office, and then we write a report, and we go to court. It is the same stage actually in the Sematimba and the maid custody case.
Yes.
The probation officer is writing a report for court. Then court will look at the investigations, will look at that report, and then decide finally who should have custody of that child. Is it the maid, or is it Peter Sematimba? So that case is still ongoing.
Thank you very much. Dr. Diana, I want you to jump into this, and then I promise this time we are winding up.
Okay. Yes, the issue of people having a fear. Now, maybe let me just inform our listeners that when we talk about court in custody issues, we are not talking about the Supreme Court or this court where the judges are wearing the wigs and you are going to fear. We are talking, there is a special court that was established, that was formed by the law. It is what they call the Family and Children Court. Now, in that court, everything there is as simple as possible. When you get there and you have a problem about a child, you just go to where we call the magistrates court, or many people, what they call a court and tow. You know, you go to that court, you just ask people and you say, I have an issue concerning children. They will take you to that magistrate, and the magistrate will be able to entertain you. So you don't have to fear that, oh, I don't even know English, I don't know how to write, I fear talking to people. No, it is as simple as that. You just go to this magistrate's court, and you go to this family and children court, and you can even, if you don't understand English, you can talk to the magistrate. If the magistrate understands your language, they'll be able to help you, and they'll draft the necessary papers. If they don't, they'll call somebody, maybe a court clerk or anybody who can be able to interpret for the magistrate, and they'll get your facts, and they'll be able to help you, and you can be able to file the matter. You can even go to apply for custody, even when you don't have a lawyer, because many people fear that lawyers are very expensive. You can go on your own. So if you're out there and you have this issue of custody, you know, you can just go to this court, and they'll be able to help you, and you don't have to know all this English and so on.
Legalese.
Legalese. You can just go and you'll be able to help. And you really don't have to fear, because issues concerning children, the magistrate can even say, lawyers, can you please move out? I just want to talk to the parents.
Yes.
So please don't fear. Even if one party has a lot of money and the other one doesn't have, when it gets to children, justice will always be done in relation to children.
Okay, thank you very much. As you can see, our weather is beginning to change.
Yeah.
It's also getting gloomy with the subject.
Yeah.
It doesn't want us to give you all these things to benefit from. So we're going to pick up the pace just a bit. I'm going to throw one last one at you. The other will come back to it later. What happens if the circumstances change? I've been given custody today. Tomorrow, I'm going to use a local word. I have got cheyo. I have got a job in Dubai or in one of those countries, and I want to go to do that. Or I have decided Kampala is very difficult for me. I want to go back to my village. What happens if I had custody of a child, or in fact shared custody? What happens at that point?
Well, at this point, because you have custody by virtue of an order of court, then you have to go to court and go back to court and say, can you please change the terms of the custody? For example, you are the mother, you have been given custody, you've gotten a job, you want to go to Saudi Arabia. What you have to do is to go to court, because now what you are doing, you are going, you are leaving the boundaries of Uganda, and therefore you can, wherever you are, they won't be able to deal with you. So what you have to do is you go back to that court and say, I am now leaving. Now I can no longer have the physical custody of the child. Okay? But there are some instances where you are given joint custody, and the other person says, okay, you have gotten a job, you're going to work with the United Nations in New York, and they give you that child allowance. You just go back to court, and then the court can say that, okay, you can have that custody, and the other party will consent to you moving out, going out with the child. And once that other party consents, then the child can be able to leave. I don't know, when I say jurisdiction, you can leave the jurisdiction of Uganda.
Where the court has powers.
Over you. But where you want to move out with the child and the other party doesn't, this other party can go to court and say, please, can you stop this person from going with the child? Because then, once you go outside, then this person will not be able to have control. And circumstances change. For example, there is a case which we had very recently where the lady was given custody, but because of the COVID situation, well, that is what she claims, the COVID situation, she was sent away from her work. Now what does she do? She said the only thing she could resort to was prostitution. And so she would be bringing the men at home. So in this case, the man, the father of the children, went to court and said, she has custody, but now she has changed her lifestyle, so may I have custody of my children? And well, the lady admitted and said, but when I'm with my clients, I'm in the bedroom, they said even then, the child seeing many clients coming, that affects the child emotionally. So yes, there are circumstances which change, and this order can be able to vary.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Diana.
Hello, welcome to the Know Your Law series, where Barefoot Law answers frequently asked questions on the law. Do you have employment issues? Questions about family law, criminal law, land transactions? The answers are right here on the Know Your Law series.